herself unable to refuse the inevitable appeals to extend whatever it was she hadn't wanted to do in the first place. "Once you get that tent set up, you'll want us to be in there all weekend." Noah looked affronted. "Just tonight, honest to God." Rose tried not to smirk. "I've told you not to say that." She knew she was about to give in, even though she was full of nduja pizza and had drunk 2 glasses of red wine, even though it was April and the evenings were still cold. "Isn't this like camping already, though?" She gestured around the lounge. Noah cast his eyes about the cardboard boxes stacked around them. "No," he stated categorically, shaking his head and pulling a comically long face for emphasis. She was only playing for time. Rose wouldn't refuse him, but not because her discipline was lax. She was stricter with Noah than most of the others in her parents' group, but he hadn't complained the whole time they'd been in moving limbo. She and Noah had both said their goodbyes to the house weeks ago, but the people buying had had issues with their sale. The agent had suggested putting it back on the market, but Rose had said they'd wait. It was a kindness to say the house they'd lived in for 7 years was a fixer-upper. Built in 1902, what the property lacked in solid foundations, it made up for in runaway damp. Previously a guest house, the rooms had been converted, but each of the doors still had a different key. They turned one into Lucas's pottery studio, but that had been redundant long before the house went up for sale. Everything else was now packed up and ready to go. 34 boxes. Coincidentally, one for every year of her life. Was that all it amounted to? It had taken 3 months of viewings before she'd had a solitary, significantly lower offer from a foster couple who needed 4 bedrooms, but Rose really didn't want to let them down. It was their 3rd week of eating on a flat packing case. Noah had loved it to begin with, and would have quite happily had junk food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But with the couch gone, their everyday furniture and oven already in a storage facility near their new address, and the pair of them now having to sleep on folding beds, the fun of living in a maze of taped-up boxes had seriously started to fray. Plus, Noah had just spent his Saturday helping her fill the last boxes and carry them from the cellar and set them in the hallway. How could she say no? "I really don't want to sleep outside." "I'm not asking you to. I'll be fine on my own." "You said that before, but you only lasted half an hour." "I was only young then," he countered, mortified. Rose chuckled inwardly. That had been less than 2 years ago. She eyed the remaining slices of sourdough pizza in the box on top of the packing case. "You haven't finished your dinner." Noah didn't respond. He knew it was a stalling tactic and waited for her gaze to return to his. "It's going to get cold out there," she warned. "I'll wear a jumper over my PJs. The tent's still got a hole in it. It's not raining. It's forecast, though." "I won't sleep under the hole. It'll be dark. I've got my pen light." He'd been inseparable from the gadget since Lucas had bought it for him 2 Christmases ago. Rose sighed. If she let him sleep outside, she would end up out in the cold too. She picked up her glass of red and took a sip as if considering her answer, even though it was a foregone conclusion. Noah replicated her sigh, rested his elbow on the low packing case, and then put his face in his hand so his face wrinkled up. The left side of his light auburn hair jutted as it always did, like he'd just been sleeping on it. No matter what she did, it never seemed to flatten. She tied her identical but longer hair up into a ponytail, and he regarded her expectantly. Their Edwardian house with its rotting parquet floors was on its own at the edge of Hampton Forest. She'd always felt isolated there, but Lucas had enjoyed the seclusion for his work. He hadn't seemed quite as keen on its remoteness after the attempted break-in. That had rattled them both, but they'd managed to keep it a secret from Noah. That was nearly 3 years ago, but now that Lucas was absent, the episode had taken on a new implication for a mother alone with her child. She told herself it was a one-off event, that lightning was unlikely to strike twice, but it made her doubly vigilant when it came to security. She'd looked into getting an alarm system fitted, but the cost for the old property was eye-watering. Their new place was on the 3rd floor of a residential block. Only days to go now before they got in there. Was she being hyper-cautious? The rear lawn was secure and surrounded by tall red brick walls.